All right, so this week we have Parshat Kedoshim, and so Parshat Kedoshim is a huge parsha, and it's Acharei-Kedoshim with double parsha, but Kedoshim is a huge parsha. It starts with this mitzvah of Kedoshim to you, that Hashem commands us that you should be holy, thou shalt be holy, and the Hasidim teach that this is not just a instruction, this is also a promise that you will be holy, whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, you're going to be holy. But it's in this parsha that we are instructed of how important it is to be holy, and the Zohar has a very fascinating comment on this, that Kedoshim Tiyu ze klala the Torah, that this is that the sum total of the Torah, and Reb Tzadok writes that what it means is that this is really the purpose of everything. The purpose of all the mitzvahs is to attain holiness, is to try to become holy. And this is something that we see in a lot of psukim, that it says, we say in Shema, for example, that v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'elokechem, that you should do all of my mitzvahs, and you should be holy to Hashem. You should, and so it goes together. If you do the mitzvahs, you're going to become holy, and this is something that we say in every time we say a blessing. Acharei-Kedoshim b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, that Hashem sanctified us with His mitzvahs, and He commanded us to do different things. That what does it mean? Kedoshim b'mitzvotav, that through the mitzvahs He gave us holiness. And so it's a real thing that the purpose of the mitzvahs is to give us holiness, and so if the purpose of the mitzvahs, if the doing mitzvahs is supposed to make us holy, so then it makes sense that the goal of everything, if on a very simple level, what are we supposed to be doing with our lives? Mitzvahs, right? So, and what the purpose of the mitzvahs? The purpose of the mitzvahs is to be holy. So then, what's our main goal in life is to attain holiness. Okay, so this is what it means. Reb Tzadok says that when the Zohar says that the Kedoshim Tiyu is klala the Torah, that this is the sum total of everything in the Torah. So on a very simple level, this is the purpose of everything. This is the ultimate goal of being a Jew is to attain holiness. And of course, in the same parsha, so we have the more common, the more famous klala of the Torah, and this is something which is brought down in the Midrash, that Amar Rebbe Kiva, v'ahavta l'reacha kamecha, ze klal gadol b'Torah, that Rebbe Kiva taught that the pasuk of this week's parsha, to love your neighbor like yourself. So ze klal gadol b'Torah, this is the sum total of the entire Torah. So we see that these two things are considered the sum total of the Torah, and at face value they don't seem like the same thing. Like love your neighbor like yourself. So I think about a guy who's just everywhere he goes, he's giving hugs, and he's constantly he sees somebody who's in need, and he helps him out. And when he says be holy, so I don't know. I think about holy, so I think about a person that the mosquitoes die when they get into his on top of him, and he's just you see that his eyes are burning with connection, and he davens and he goes into the higher worlds, so it, at face value, doesn't seem like very the same thing. So I'd like to try to explain today how could it be? How can that both Kedoshim Tiyu is the sum total of the entire Torah, as well as v'ahavta l'reacha kamecha is also the sum total of the entire Torah. Apparently that if they're both the goal of everything, so then apparently it's just two different perspectives of the same thing, right? So how could that be? so there's a famous Gemara in Shabbos that the Gemara talks about a certain guy that he wanted to convert to Judaism, and he came to Shammai, and he says, Rabbi, I want to convert to Judaism on one condition, and the condition that you can teach me the entire Torah when I'm standing on one foot. So Shammai famously was very offended by him, and he says, how dare you? You think the Torah is so simple? And he took this block and he shoved him out of the Beis Medrash forcefully, that he shouldn't be able to, that he shouldn't think that it's normal to be able to do such a thing, and he was very aggressive with him. And so then he came to Hillel, and And so he says, Rabbi, I want to commit to Judaism, but I need you to be able to teach me the entire Torah on one foot. And he said,
love your fellow like yourself.
Go for it. Stand on one foot. He said, love your neighbor like yourself. You have to make a mecha. That's actually not what he said. He said, what you hate, that what you hate, don't do it to your friend. And the rest is commentary. Go and learn it. Okay. So first of all, I heard a very beautiful thing that why did he say the inverse of the pasuk? Right? The pasuk says you should love your neighbor like yourself, and he didn't exactly say that. He almost said that. He said, what you hate, don't do it to your friend. Right? So somebody once explained that there's a difference between a Yid and a Goy. There's a difference between a Jew and a non-Jew. That because he was not yet Jewish, so the best he could possibly understand is that something that bothers you, don't do it to your friend. The negative. Mm-hmm. But to love your friend like you love yourself, that's something beyond the capability of a non-Jew. And that's something only a Jew is capable of doing. Because the secret of you have to Acharei-Kedoshim is actually that the souls of every Jew are actually united. That because the source of a Jewish soul is in Hashem's divinity, Hashem's essence, and that's something only by a Jew, not by a non-Jew. So that's why when I'm loving you, I'm actually loving myself, because we're actually one. So because that actually doesn't exist by a non-Jew, so it wouldn't be fair to expect him to understand such a thing. Okay. So anyway, so we told them whatever you hate, don't do it to your friend, and the rest is just commentary. Right? Some people forget the end. They're like, he says, the rest of the commentary, go learn the commentary. Like some people say that for me, that to be a good Jew is to be nice, is to be. I think that the most important thing to be a good Jew, and they forgot, that there's more to it. You have to learn the rest. But the question on this Gemara is that what actually did Hillel mean? What actually did Hillel mean? That how can you say the entire Torah is encapsulated in v'ahavta l'recha kamecha, and that to not do to your friend what you hate? That we know that the Torah is divided into two parts. It's divided into bein adam lamakom, mitzvahs between a person and God, and bein adam l'chaviro, things, interpersonal things, that things between a person and his friend. So that shalom.
Sorry, I'm so late. I got.
All good.
I went to the wrong place.
So we're talking about, what's your name, by the way?
I'm Hani.
Hani. It's the first time you're here?
My first time here. I just made Aliyah.
Welcome.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you. For the first time.
So it says in the Parshat, v'ahavta l'recha kamecha, and this non-Jew came to Hillel, and he told them, teach me the whole Torah, and he told them, v'ahavta l'recha kamecha, and said the rest is commentary. So the question is that's good for half the Torah. Like half the Torah is bein adam l'chaviro. Half the Torah is interpersonal mitzvahs that don't be mean, don't lie, don't hit, don't curse, don't cheat people, and don't speak lashon hara. But what about religious stuff? What does tefillin have to do with love your neighbor like yourself? What does keeping Shabbos have to do with love your neighbor like yourself? There's so many religious things, hearing shofar, keeping kosher, all these things. What's have to do with loving your neighbor like yourself?
Can I say?
So
I think the Tanya talks about this, that like the only way for us to really love somebody else is if we recognize that they have a Tzelem Elokim inside of them.
We just talked about that.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Okay.
So one commentary. What Rashi's first. The first answer to this question is in Rashi, that he says that Hashem is also your friend. Hashem is also your friend, which is an important thing to remember. He brings a pasuk that describes Hashem as our friend, as our re'acha v're'a avicha al tazar, and so nobody likes when you ask somebody to do something if they say, I'm not in the mood, like just take a hike. So it makes you feel bad, right? If you ask somebody to do something and they just couldn't care less, so it hurts you. So just like it hurts you when somebody asks you to do something and the person couldn't care less. So Hashem asks you something. So, come on. You should treat Hashem the way you would want to be treated. So, if Hashem asks you to do something, so come on. I remember once, I once when I was in high school, there was I don't remember what it was, that there was some religious thing that I wasn't doing, and a friend of mine was trying to convince me to do it, and I said, okay, I'll do it for you. And I remember to this day, he said, don't do it for me, do it for Hashem. And so I know what I understood him to mean is that Hashem is so good to you. He gives you food to eat, he gives you clothes, he gives you friends, he gives you family. It's like come on, he deserves it. And so this is what I think. This is all included in Rashi's interpretation that come on, Hashem deserves that you should listen. He wants something for you, so come on, do it for him. Okay. So of course there's a lot more to Judaism than that. I think that there is something beautiful about listening to Hashem because we owe it to him, but I think it's certainly not a very Hasidish approach, right? That in every element of religious life, so Hashem is telling us because it's actually a way of connecting. It's actually a way of improving our lives. So there has to be more to it than that. So I once heard a very beautiful idea that the Acharei-Kedoshim is actually requires the Ben Alam Makom as well. And I want to start with a story that this is a true story. That there was a student in the Slobodka Yeshiva. His name was Rav Meir Chalish. So when he was a boy, he wasn't a rabbi yet, but he eventually became the mashgiach of the Chevron Yeshiva. So he was a famous rabbi. So he told over when he was a rabbi. He told when he was a young boy. So he was in the Slobodka Yeshiva, and so in the Tzadok yeshiva, so they had some classes which were open to all the students, and some classes which were what's it called? Some people can't come. There was what's it called? Exclusive. Thank you. Exclusive classes. You have to be by invite only, and so he there was a certain class that he was not invited to, but he was really, really into it. He was really curious what was going on, and he couldn't hold it back. So he would put his ear next to the door, and he would listen, and he would eavesdrop into what's going on in this class of the Alter of Slobodka. And so this was going on for a good amount of weeks, until one time, so somebody needed the restroom, and he was running out, and he opened the door really, really quick, and so he, because he was there, so he shouted out of shock that somebody was just being pushed in the head. So he made so much noise that everybody realized that somebody was there and what's going on, and so the altar came, and what's going on, and says, and he was caught red-handed, and he was all embarrassed and whatever, and so hey, good evening. So he said, okay, I'll talk to you afterwards. So afterwards, the moment of truth, he's caught red-handed, and he's standing before his rabbi, and so what's the rabbi say to him? Tell me something. What did you learn? What did you learn? You're eavesdropping. You probably heard something. So, did you hear anything? What secrets do I need to erase your memory? So, what did you learn? So Meir Chalish told them as follows. Okay, listen carefully. I learned that the Bein Adam L'Chavero, the Bein Adam L'Makom of Bein Adam L'Chavero is greater than the Bein Adam L'Makom of Bein Adam L'Makom. I learned that the service of God of being nice to your friend is greater than the service of God of serving God. That I learned from what you were teaching that it's a greater service of God to be nice to your friend than it is to serve God. Meaning that I'm closer to God when I'm helping a homeless guy than I'm serving God when I'm davening. Okay, that's what. And so the author said that is precisely what I wanted to give over. So you get it. So you can come in. That's a good start. So what does this mean? How could it be? How could it be that that you're serving God? You're serving God in a greater way. I understand that you're serving God because Hashem tells us to be nice to people. So of course you're also serving God. But no, there's interesting halacha. That we don't say brachas. We don't say brachas on mitzvahs b'dam l'chaver. Usually before you do a mitzvah, you're supposed to say a bracha, right? Mm-hmm. Before you put on tefillin, you say a bracha. Before you Shabbos, you say a bracha. Before you're shofar, you say a bracha. So how come there's no bracha before you give tzedakah to a poor person? How come there's no bracha before you help somebody with their bags? There's no bracha before you help your parents with something like that. How come there's no brachas?
Because there's no shear.
So even if there's no share, there's like Shabbos candles. There's no share. You just light a candle. There's like
but it ends there.
That. Oh, you mean because there's no maximum?
Yeah.
Okay, but there's a mitzvah. There's a minimum. But there's a minimum. So the Rashba says a very interesting thing. That the reason why they didn't institute a bracha on Beinanu l'chavera is because what's the purpose of saying brachas? Because the purpose of the bracha is that you should have intention, that you should be mindful, that you shouldn't think that I'm stam lighting a candle. You should be mindful of the fact that I'm serving Hashem, I'm doing a mitzvah. Okay, so the Rashba says that when you're doing chesed, so it's going to mess with the mitzvah if you're thinking too much about Hashem. When you're doing a mitzvah, you have to be completely focused on your friend, and not to think that I'm serving. There's a if a guy is if you're lost and the guy's like, do you need directions? He says yes, I need directions. Okay, hold on. Come with me. Guy, you're so creepy. You have a friend who can help me. It takes away from the quality of the mitzvah if you're too into Hashem, right? So they didn't make a mitzvah because if you're going to be too into Hashem. So certainly. So what does it mean that I'm serving God more when I'm not thinking about Hashem than when I am thinking about Hashem? So it's a very it seems illogical. So the idea is a very beautiful thing, that really it goes back to the purpose of creation. It goes back to why did God create the world? Okay, this is the famous question why that all the Jewish philosophers ask, that before there was a world, so God was chilling. So what was lacking? What was missing? Why did he decide that he needs? So they explain like this. This is the Ramchal explains that one thing we know about God is that God is perfect, and one facet of being perfect is being good. Okay, and step number 3 is that part of being good is to give goodness. Okay, to share goodness, to bestow goodness. Meaning a person who's good, but he keeps his goodness to himself, so he's not so good. Like if you're really good, then you're going to be giving goodness. Okay? So because God is perfect, so he's good. Because he's good, so he needs to bestow goodness. So then he ran into a problem, because who am I going to give my goodness to? So that's why he created the world, in order that the world should be his beneficiaries, the recipients of his goodness. And that's the purpose. That's the purpose of creation. That's why he made everything. It's all in order that there should be recipients of his goodness. Okay. So now, how does that reflect in the world that we have now? So that take like a look at Derech Hashem and Mesilas Yesharim. He talks about how it's very complicated. But the end goal of everything is that Hashem wants to bestow goodness. Okay, and so this itself is a very important thing to keep in mind. Like a person that, like some people feel guilty when they enjoy life. Okay, and a person should never feel guilty when they enjoy life, because the entire purpose of creation is that Hashem wants us to feel His goodness. Okay, so the entire purpose of everything is that Hashem wants us to be recipients of His goodness. So the thing is, so how come He doesn't just give us all everything constantly? So most things He does give us constantly. He gives us oxygen constantly. He gives us lots of stuff constantly. But a lot of stuff that He does. So He doesn't want to reveal Himself. If every time that we need money, so immediately there's money. Every time that we need a job, there's a job. Every time that we need a friend, there's immediately if everything's just going to show up automatically, so then there won't be any free choice. Okay, so Hashem doesn't want to be so obviously present in all of our lives. So what does He do? So He wants us to be His ambassadors, to give in His stead, to give goodness to other people around us. So this is actually the deeper meaning of V'ahavta Kamecha, is that Hashem wants us to be His ambassadors. Hashem wants us for Him to give the world hugs on His behalf. And so that's why you need two steps. That's why, first of all, in what way is God giving me a hug when you're giving me a hug? First, you have to become a godly person. Once you're a godly person, because you do all the mitzvahs bein on the makom, because you do all the religious stuff, once you're a religious person, then when you're an ambassador of God, and then when you give me a hug, so then that's God giving me a hug. Okay, so that's what really the purpose of the mitzvahs bein on the makom is, to reach the higher goal. The higher goal is that, which is actually the tachlis habriya, that the purpose of the entire creation is that we should bestow goodness onto one another on Hashem's behalf, and by doing that, so we're actually fulfilling the ultimate purpose of creation. Okay, so this is the deeper meaning of V'ahavta Kamecha, that we're actually fulfilling the purpose of creation by sending Hashem's hugs to everybody around us. Okay, and that's why it's the Klal Gadol B'Torah. This is actually the all-inclusive summary, sum total of the entire Judaism. Okay, so now how does this fit together with Kedeshim to you, with the mitzvah to be holy, which is the other thing that the Zohar says. This is the Klal HaTorah. This is the sum total of everything in Judaism is to be holy. That it's all the purpose of everything is to be holy. So we have to understand what does it really mean. What does it really mean to be holy? So there's a very beautiful interpretation that I saw once in the introduction to the book Shari Yasher from the Rosh Yeshiva of the Grodny Yeshiva in Europe, Rav Shimon Shkop. So he writes as follows: that Hashem, he starts with Rashi in this week's Parshat, that the pasuk says that Kedoshim to you, ki kadoshani. So Chazal say as follows. Chazal say, what does it mean? What does it mean, Kedoshim to you, ki kadoshani? That Hashem tells us to be holy. So Rashi says, Yachal Kamaini, you might think that you're supposed to be as holy as I am, as holy as God. Talmud Laimar ki kadoshani. So that's why it says ki kadoshani, that you're not supposed to be the same as me. You're supposed to just be inspired by me. But kedushasi l'malam kedushaschem. But my holiness is always going to be a little bit bigger than your holiness. Okay, so it's a very strange statement of Chazal. It's a very how can a person possibly think that I'm supposed to be as holy as God? Like he has to explain to me, no, calm down. You're not. Don't be as holy as me. Just be a little bit less. How could we possibly think that we're supposed to be as holy as God? So he explains as follows: that what is the holiness? What makes God so holy? What is the definition of holiness? The definition of holiness is that God lives for others. That God has no needs. He's perfect. He has it all. So because he has no needs, so his entire presence is purely for the sake of others. The definition of to be a holy person is to live for others. So a person could be inspired by Hashem and say that yeah, that's amazing, that Hashem is so selfless and he has no needs himself, and I want my entire existence to be for other people, and I'm going to completely emulate God. And so what's the problem? The person is going to try to emulate God too much, so then he's going to forget about himself. he's going to forget that you have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to self-care. It's a real thing, and if you're gonna just forget about yourself, then like who's gonna take care of the world? Who's gonna serve Hashem? Who's gonna be holy? If you're gonna, there's a story about a guy that wanted to save money on his animal food. So he had a horse, so he wanted to save money on the expenses of buying stuff for his horse. So first he cut back a little bit, then cut back a little bit more, and like it went from at the beginning he was giving him like I don't know, like 10 bushels of wheat, and like then he got to 1 bushel, like a half a bushel, quarter of a bushel, and then the next day his horse died, and he said, darn, if it would have just lasted one more day, I would have gotten him down to nothing. So a person is not going to look after himself. So like there's not going to be anybody to care for. So it's important to care about yourself, and that's why the Torah is commanding us that only Hashem can live completely for other people, but because we're human, so we have to take care of ourselves, and it's part of it's a necessary part. It's a necessary part of being able to fill the world with goodness is to live for other people. If you want to live for other people, so you can't forget about yourself. Okay. So this is how Reb Shimon says that this is the definition of holiness. The definition of holiness is a person who's living for others, and this is really like that. If you look at all Jewish heroes, this is the thing that when we see holiness in people. So it's in the fact is how much they did for other people. It's the fact that they ignored themselves. The fact that they were able to give their portion of food to the people in need in the Holocaust, and things like the fact that they were always caring about other people more than they were caring about themselves. The more that a person puts other people's needs before their own, so that's how holy they are. Okay, the person that's obsessed with themselves, then that's they're anti-holy. They take away holiness the more that they're obsessed with themselves. So that according to this interpretation, so Kedoshim Tiyu is actually the exact same thing as V'ahavta l'recha kamecha. Okay, this is precisely that the purpose of the entire Torah is to be holy. The purpose of the entire Torah is to bestow goodness onto everybody around us, and it's the exact same thing. One is what to do, and one is what that makes you. But it's actually it's actually one and the same. So this is the klal HaTorah. The klal HaTorah of V'ahavta l'recha kamecha Kedoshim Tiyu is in the fact that it's that to be a Jew is to care about other people, to constantly be bestowing good, to constantly be sharing hugs, to constantly be caring about the people and taking care of the people around us. There's another element of both these mitzvahs of V'ahavta l'recha kamecha as well as Kedoshim Tiyu. That the thing is also very very critical and very basic, and also another element of why these things are klal, why these things are the sum total of what it means to be a Jew. Meaning, why these things are very basic things in Judaism. So in the midst of Kedoshim Tiyu, so Reb Tzadok brings that there's a Gemara, that the Gemara says that there's a pasuk. The pasuk says that you should make yourselves holy and you should be holy. It uses a repetitive language. So the Gemara explains on this pasuk that one is talking about mayim yishenim, one is talking about the washing your hands before you have bread, and one is talking about mayim achreinim. One is talking about washing your hands before benching, which is it's a chumrah. It's a stringency that some people do, and so the Ramban in this week's parsha. So he asked on this Gemara that how could the pasuk be saying like what it means to be holy is what mayim achreinim like it's not even mayim mishanim is not a mitzvah. It's not a mitzvah from the Torah. Washing before bread comes from Shlomo HaMelech. The Gemara says in Erevin. And the mayim achreinim is it's from the times of the Gemara, but it's only a stringency nowadays. And Reb Tzadok he adds on to this that the Gemara says that kikadoshani that in the same pasuk. So the darshan that they had apparently in the times of Chazal they would like smear oil on their hands before benching as well. And that's like the shemen is also a part of this kedusha process of whatever. And so that's really absurd because like that nobody does. And so how could the pasuk be saying? So Reb Tzadok says a very beautiful thing. And that is that when the Torah says Kedoshim to you, when the Torah says to be holy, so the Ramban really paints the picture of what's this pasuk telling us. What's the message of Kedoshim to you? And he coined this term called naval b'shus haTorah. A disgusting person with the hechsher of the Torah, with the permission of the Torah. That a person could follow all the rules and just be a real jerk. And when you say, why? So he'll say, where does it say in the Torah that I can't do this? And a person can always manipulate the rules and find loopholes and find ways of working within the boundaries, within the guidelines of halacha, and just be a real disgusting person. And it's like, no, I looked it up, that's not called lying, that's not, I asked my rabbi, is this considered, no, it's not called lying. It's like, I'm not obligated to help you, because whatever, and you can just be a real jerk, and not be breaking any laws, and that's what the Torah says, Kedoshim to you. That's what the Gemara says that there's more to life than following the rules. One of the examples he gives is the person that's constantly fussing, a person that's just like a very gluttonous person that just like stuffs his face with meat all day, and like he's like, where does it say in the Torah that you can't stuff your face? And like it's like I didn't find any same place in Chazal, and like, oh, you mean B'tzar Mara? No, it's not talking about this. And like, come on, like everybody sees that you're just disgusting. Everybody like just like, how do you not get it? And so the Torah says, Kedoshim to you, that there's things that are not spoken, and you're just supposed to get it. Okay, you just need to be a holy person, even on the things it doesn't say. So Reb Tzadok says that what this is really saying is that in the times of Chazal, so some people, so their connection to being holy was that there was a certain hygiene kind of thing that with this oil, and my machran also, it's a certain, some people had this feeling that I want to give respect to benching and I want to do an extra thing, like we're talking about like men going to the mikveh. It's not a mitzvah at all. It's not a mitzvah, but some people just feel that it adds to their spiritual experience, so they do it because it feels right. So Kedoshim to you, says Reb Tzadok, is that every single person is called upon. Every single person is obligated to find the thing that feels right to me. I know it doesn't say it anywhere, but this is my personal way of holding myself to a holy standard. This is my personal thing that I want to do this for Hashem. I want to show respect to mitzvahs, to show respect to tefillah, to show respect to whatever it is. That I know it doesn't say it anywhere, but it feels right to me. And that the Torah is commanding us to find our unique way of expressing our connection with Hashem. And that's Kedoshim to you. So to me this says that Kedoshim to you is really saying that a person needs to own their Judaism. That a person can't just be a person that's listening to rules, the person that's just following orders. And if you don't feel anything yourself, if you don't have any desire to make your Judaism personal, so then you're not there. You're not being your own person. It can't be if you actually have a real relationship with God. So it can't be that it doesn't inspire you to do anything. It can't be that because I have a relationship because I feel a relationship with God, so I'm just in the mood to do exactly what other people told me to do. But what if nobody would have told me to do anything at all? Well, then I guess I wouldn't do anything at all. What's your relationship? Like, how can you feel that you care about God if your care is not expressed with anything except what you need to do? So Kedoshim to you, says Rav Tzadok, is that the person is obligated to find the places that he owns in Judaism, and I think that this is actually something that it's similar to the other klal haTorah of the V'ahavta l'Chakamecha, because really that what's V'ahavta l'Chakamecha, that you should love your neighbor like yourself, and so it's something which is like often overlooked, that the Torah wants us to love ourselves, and if we don't love ourselves, then we won't know what it means to love somebody else, and the Torah takes for granted that we love ourselves, and some people that they struggle with this, that they can't stand themselves, that they think that they're disgusting people, they think that they're ugly people. There was a Rabbi Twersky, Zechron Livracha. So he has this. He wrote many books, and he wrote ones that all of his books are all the same thing. It's all about self-esteem, and so he wrote one of the introduction to one of his books that the thing that inspired him to start writing about self-esteem, to start working on self-esteem, was that when he was in medical school, he was a psychiatrist, and when he was in medical school, so after like some very horrible internship that was really treacherous amount of hours a day for an amazing amount of months at a time. So he took a break and he decided that he's going to a spa. Okay, so he goes to a spa, and so there is he buys a ticket, and there's a whole sequence of things he's supposed to be doing, and so the first he's supposed to be in this jacuzzi for a certain amount of time, and so for the beginning it's nice, and after 3 minutes, so he's ready to go, so he starts getting out, and the person in charge is what are you doing? So I've had enough, I'm ready for the next thing. He said, no, sorry, it doesn't work like this. It's a process, you can go home, but if you want to go to the massage, you have to stay in the jacuzzi for 15 minutes, not 1 minute less. And so he says, okay. He goes back, and he's wondering, he starts thinking to himself, how could it be that I was able to survive 6 months of hell, and I can't take 15 minutes of paradise? It doesn't make sense, right? So then he realized that this is the first time in 6 months that he's forced to just spend time with himself, and now that he's forced to be with himself, so he doesn't enjoy being around himself. He's not a pleasant person to be around. So it's the first time that he's forced to be with himself, and he just doesn't like it. And so he realized that he needs to develop this self-love. That when he looks in the mirror, he doesn't like what he sees, and he just can't stand spending time with himself. So he needs to work on this self-love. And the truth is that if you don't love yourself, you won't be able to help others. You don't know what it means to be loved if you don't love yourself. Good chefs. Good chefs are always fat. If you don't if you like eating, if you really like eating, so then you're going to make sure that it's the best. So if you want to give other people love, so it has to start with yourself, right? So V'ahavta l'Chakamecha is that the tachlis of the Torah, the purpose of everything, is to fill the world with love, right? So the only way to fill the world with love is that you need to own love. Okay, what does it mean to own love? It means you need to love yourself. Okay, it means you need to be a personal expert in love. and you need to have the self love, and so only by owning the love, by loving yourself, only by doing that can you spread the love to everybody else. Right? So it's really like a next step of what Tzadok says, that you need to own your Judaism, and you need to make sure that your Judaism is something personal and something that you're not just doing what everybody is saying. That it needs to be real. It needs to be something that it's like that you're feeling it yourself, something that you would do even if you weren't told. So this is a very essential, very basic teaching. This is like it all depends on this parsha. It's all about love, and it's all about holiness, and really the holiness is love, and love is holiness. And so I bless us all that we should usually be able to love ourselves and to connect to our personal relationship with Hashem. And by doing that, so this will help us, that we'll be able to spread the love and help the Kedusha and become holier people, become more godly people, and become people that understand that the more love that there is, the more holiness there is. B'ezrat Hashem.
Amen.